Welcome to the Boisterous Brothers. I'm George Rockall-Schmidt, here as always with Damian Benedict. How are you doing this week, Damian? With your steaming coffee.
Yeah, I know.
Half cup of coffee. Damian's the sort of person who says, do you want a cup of coffee? And then he gives you a thimble. He doesn't give you a thimble, he gives you a cup with a thimble's worth of coffee in it.
Yeah, but there's lots of water in it as well.
Oh, well, then good. Thank God for that. I always kind of thought that Americanos were really weird when I found out what they were. They're just espressos with...
More water.
More water,
yeah.
yeah. When I was a kid, in fact, no, I won't lie. Not when I was a kid. Until about 6 months ago, I thought it was called espresso.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, well, my dad's a real grammar Nazi, and that's something that I've been kind of groomed to hate when I hear it, and I hear it all over the fucking
You
place.
hear espresso?
Oh, gotcha, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh.
All kinds of places. And I mean, I worked in kitchens, people that are supposed to know better with food and drink and what have you, and I still hear the term bandied about, even by Italians.
Espresso?
Espresso.
Oh, really? Really? I'm quite surprised. Do you know what? The only other thing I remember, I mean, obviously, everyone has these things that they mispronounce, they mishear. I used to say, be more Pacific.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you should be more Atlantic. Less Atlantic about that.
One thing that my dad
Pacific.
would always fucking get on my case about, and I never understood what was right or wrong about it. But
was your virginity?
Was, well, me in general, actually. But no, the word full.
Full?
Yeah, full.
Because you would say full.
I don't know how apparently I was saying like full or something like that.
Full.
Nothing.
Do that again.
Full.
Sounds like you're going to sing about Skyrim now.
But I never got it. I mean, I would say full. And he'd be like, no, not full. Full.
It was
That's
the
what I
same
said.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, full. No, not full. Full. And it fucking, as a kid, it gave me such a fucking complex. I never understood what I was doing wrong. At all. And I'm fairly sure I could bring up my dad and ask him about it, and he'd still give me the same fucking shit about it.
Wow, that's so weird.
Yeah.
That's
It's horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I in hindsight, I tried to believe it was a joke, that my dad was just winding me up, but I think he was just that kind of...
Nazi.
Yeah.
Do you remember the song that went, na 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 na, and the woman saying, my man ain't got no money, he's got his strong beliefs. And I always used to think she was saying, my man ain't got no money, he's got his tromboline.
Tromboline?
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is that?
No, I don't remember that song, but I'm going to have to fucking get that fucking belter on right now.
What is this tromboline that you speak of, and why has it made your man not need any money? It sounds
oh my God, Dramapoline!
Dramapoline! So we always start the Boisterous Brothers with an anecdote. I mean, or just mouthing at each other,
yeah,
whatever.
Which is definitely the route we're going today.
Yeah. So my anecdote, very short. I had a boss. You knew him.
I did.
Very well. Let's call him Nick the Shit.
Because that was his name by birth. If you look at his birth certificate, that's what it says.
No,
he is a shit.
He was like a kind of European prince from the 15th century. You know, his name was Nick, and it was like, is he going to be Nick the Clever? Is he going to be Nick the Watcher? Is he going to be Nick the Deceitful? Nick the Builder? No, it's Nick the Shit.
Yeah, it was that or Nick the Whoremonger or something like that.
So he was, I don't know, how would you describe him? Not physically, but...
Very...
He was very camp, but he was also very in your face. He was
very dramatic, very theatrical. He was he was a business person, but not the best at it.
He was someone whose friends behind his back would have many names for him. One of them was his lordship, but we call him
his ladyship. Yeah. So
he had this ex-girlfriend. I'm not going to really go into him right now, but he had this ex-girlfriend who he was still very close with, and he basically got to set up an escort agency. And she'd been with him for years. She wasn't with him anymore. But her entire family would refer to him as Mr. Greedy.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah. Out of affection, of course.
Of course, yeah. Because I didn't want to fucking, spoil that fucking that gravy train.
But they never said it to his face. But I knew this guy really well. I would go and work at his house quite a lot. Mm-hmm. I would see him every day for hours a day. You know, and that lasted a number of years.
Steal his drugs.
Replace his drugs with estrogen pills. And he was like 6'2", and he was about 18 stone.
No, he would have been. If he was 6'2", he would push that quite easily. It'd be like 20,
20 stone. And for anyone who doesn't know what a stone is, that's about a metric ton.
Yes, yeah. This guy was like 20 metric fuck tons heavy.
What do you think that actually is in kilograms? Like 120. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Let's say his waist, he had a good 40, 50 inches.
Yeah, and because he was tall, he wasn't obese. I mean, he didn't look obese, right? Mm-hmm. He looked fat, but he didn't have really fat arms. He didn't have really fat fingers or anything like that. He hadn't got to that stage. I always think you're fat when you have fat feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because my dad has a beer gut, right?
But
he's not fat.
People that have really fat hands that you can see it here. That's
yeah. The same with the foot on the metatarsal or whatever it's called. Metatarsal in the US.
Well, I mean, Nick was all right. He had a lot of money, so he'd obviously he would dress well. I'm sure he had a lot of that stuff was tailored very specifically, but he also had a very well engineered beard which covered up. He didn't really have double chins. He had a complete absence of chin. Really, he had this. I wouldn't say goiter, but I mean.
Yeah, he had a lot of neck fat going on.
Yeah.
And I mean, one of the stories I remember, a very brief story, is that he would he employed me originally when I left university, which was kind of like the time of the recession. There wasn't a lot of work going around, and he employed me as a researcher, and he would constantly be saying, I don't think I can afford to keep you, this might be your last month, and stuff like that. And I remember he said that to me once. He paid me £300 a week, which sounds all right, but in London it's not that much, considering I was paying like 180 on my rent.
Oh yeah, no, it was fucking nothing. I mean, I worked for the same dude.
It was nothing, and he said that, and then the same day he rang up this company called Diet Chef, which for £300 a week would cook all his meals and send them to him.
Or like Jenny Craig or something like that.
Yeah, and it was all like super low fat. So it's like if that's all you ate, he would be thin. But then I remember on the third day he called them up because it's like one of those things where you can supplement it with healthy snacks if you want.
Yeah.
And he called them up and he said,
I want Doritos, like stat.
No, he said do not mackerels, what are they called? Anchovies.
Right, okay.
Do anchovies okay to eat? And the woman didn't know. The woman was like a sales rep, and he got really angry, as he would often do down the phone at people. And it took them ages, and they basically said yeah. But then he ate 3 pots of them. Anyway, he was a fat dude. And I remember sitting on his sofa once with his brother. His brother was the opposite of him. His brother was this photographer who had, instead of devoting his life to whoring and money, had devoted his life to taking pictures of Afghan children, and it's an interesting bloke.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And a guy who never liked Nick the shit, and it came up that if you're this size and you're this body weight, you're fat. Right, it came up on a TV, not a TV commercial, but one of those infomercials.
He was on Facebook and he clicked it. It's a clickbait thing.
No, it wasn't that, but it was something it was like advertising vitamins or something like that.
Right, okay.
Like a huge infomercial, right? And he said, "Well, that's my weight and my height, but I'm not fat, am I?" And it's I looked at Guy, his brother, and it was just what the fuck?
Jesus
He doesn't
Christ.
know he's fat.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose this is a prelude to quite a few stories about Nick the shit, but I mean, this guy was in complete, not so much denial, but was oblivious to the world around him. I'd love to see what the world looks like through his eyes.
It's amazing because he was very charismatic.
Mm-hmm.
He was extremely articulate. I won't go into what the job was, but his role essentially was he would teach people how to articulate and how to use body language and stuff. He was basically teaching people how to be better communicators, and he was a very good communicator. But as you said, he was completely lacking in self-awareness at all. I mean, the people around him despised him.
Oh, God, yeah.
But he had this real impression of himself as someone who was loved.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's all it is. All I wanted to talk about this time was him not realising he was fat.
I would crash his flat as well, and I remember some of the foods he had in that place, and you told me about he has various health foods in. I can't remember how much he spent. I know you do, but he imported this dried kale, right? He
from America,
kilos and kilos of this.
Yeah, I mean,
shit.
literally, he had a spare bedroom, and one wall of this spare bedroom, I don't know, like 20 foot was taken up by boxes of kale.
Yeah, and it was tasty fucking shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I was never really into kale, still not really, but this stuff really fucking worked, and it was
flavoured.
It was the health food that was going to save his life, essentially. And the reason it was so fucking tasty is it was covered in fucking cheese.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, and you would sit there and you would eat a box of it.
Oh god,
right?
yeah.
And one of those boxes was like $5 or something. I mean, it was the most expensive kale you could get at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I'm sure between the cheese and the fats and the oils in it, even though it's kale, I mean that's probably like good for like 500 calories or some shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just interested because usually when you meet someone and they're not aware of their body size, it's usually the other way. I thought it's usually like people who are like they have a little bit of a belly think, oh, I'm horribly fat. Not people who are fat and think, yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, but I mean, that was just a pattern of thinking that kind of bled into a lot of other respects of his life.
Well, yeah. Well, we can go on. But now it is time for Bilgewater with the news.
Yeah, we'll whet your appetite like that, and that's it. Leave you high and dry. Nice.
Yeah, we're the BuzzFeed of the podcast world. I mean, have no doubt, we're scum.
Yes.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Boisterous. This week, more Trumptastic news, as Donald Trump increased the exclusivity of his American hotels by banning Mohammed Foreigner. Also, his Attorney General said no, 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 to which Trump said go, go, go. God damn it, journalism's easy. Also, there was a shooting in a Quebec mosque. The Queen of Britain and her possessions glanced at someone in such a way it was determined to mean she didn't want Donald Trump coming here. Which is there. And German bank was fined enormous amounts for mirror trading, of which it knew nothing. Back to you in the studio.
This episode is called Guess Who's Coming on Breakfast? Following an incident at breakfast with 3 people and only 2 dressing gowns, Frasier is made all too aware that his father is still sexually active. Frasier finds this repellent at first, but quickly comes around. In fact, Frasier is elated, even though he understands that it is not him getting sexed. He gives the city many high fives on the way to work and cannot wait to talk about it in his telephone booth. Martin and his woman, still not dressed, find out, and Martin vows that upon Frasier's return, he will, quite rightfully, kick him in the dick.
Naughty Frasier.
As always, he's very he's
disappointing, you were going to say?
Yeah, I can't believe that Frasier gets away with like the shit that he does.
Oh, Frasier.
Yeah, I mean, if he existed in any kind of real office space,
he'd have been fired 1,000,000 times.
He'd been fired out of a fucking cannon.
Same with Daphne.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
I don't mind.
Previously on Frasier. Oh, dear God. I mean, I'm used to seeing bad English accents from American actors, but I would say that's one of the most shocking.
Yeah. Yeah, because she is English. Like, we should say, because obviously I think a large portion of people who watch this are me and you. Now, I think a large portion of people who watch this...
We're the only surviving audience.
aren't English. And no one in England sounds like Daphne from Frasier.
Yeah, and she's supposed to be from Manchester. If you want a real fucking shock, look up what a Mancunian accent is supposed to fucking be.
It's kind of like they've tried to clean it up for an American audience, which is definitely a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, why not just have a normal British accent?
Yeah.
I guess if they did that, should be speaking like the Queen.
Well, it'd become like a fucking Mrs. Doubtfire thing instantly.
Yeah, but that's not a normal British accent.
Don't forget your fun.
Don't forget your fun. Oh, Frasier.
Which,
Yeah, Frasier. Yes.
10 years of Tobias before he moves on to...
Stinky needs a ride, Frasier. But that's not a normal British accent either. That's a clipped RP accent.
Mm-hmm.
I have a normal British accent. You have a normal British accent.
Really?
A hint of Australian.
A hint of many things, apparently.
Yeah, a hint of South African. I don't know. You sound all right.
I'd never hear it, but I mean, I
when you
listen to a lot of people.
It doesn't come through.
It's when I say crikey.
Yeah, it doesn't come through until you say good day, mate.
That dingo ain't your baby.
Yeah.
Not even then.
Yeah.
The irony being is if I try an Australian accent, it's fucking awful.
Go on then, try it.
Well, again...
I'll call it a Chazwazza.
Well, I mean,
It's a French accent. I don't know. Fucking English bollocks. I can do it if I get into it. It's all right. I prefer South African though.
Couldn't do any of those.
Shut up or I'll kick you in the tits.
Fuck off! I'll kick you in the tits.
Fuck you off. Fuck off. You know, I don't think that you understand like quite what Zuma has done. So obviously that's the one where Frasier blabs about his dad's new girlfriend on the radio.
Yeah.
And his dad's pissed off, quite rightly so.
Yeah, because he
Frasier
divulges every sordid detail. Because what Martin is not aware is that Frasier was in the bedroom the entire evening with the best camera at the time. Granted, it was quite low res, but he got enough, you know.
Quite low res. No,
he's an amateur
wind-up camera.
He's an amateur photographer. He doesn't know how to set the light, so you can't really see it's Martin. But Frasier knows, and Martin knows.
Like if you got like a forensic pathologist in or something like that, they'd be like, "Well, yeah,
we've clearly spent too much money on this."
Fair enough, Your Honour. We can't see his face, but like I've studied the movements, and the movements are exactly the same as Mr. Martin over there. This is Mr.
Frasier's
Crane.
just there like this. He's well chuffed.
So, what do you have to say about this then? Like Frasier's got a problem because his elderly father has a girlfriend.
Yeah, and then again, it's like, I guess, kind of overcompensates, and he's just like so on board with it. He just has to talk about it.
I don't know, because my parents are divorced, and my dad is going on old. He's got a nice blonde rinse now, and he doesn't have a girlfriend, and I don't know how I'd feel about him getting a girlfriend. I mean, I suppose it depends if she was hotter than me.
Or younger.
Yeah. If she was younger than me, oh my God. Gloria from Modern Family was his girlfriend. That'd be nuts. I don't know. I wouldn't be freaked out by it.
Yeah, I mean, my dad is...
I would be freaked out by it if she was like 30. That would be weird for me. But if you got a girlfriend who was even 20 years younger than him, whatever.
My dad's a bit of a hermit, and he's kind of sworn off women after a very bad relationship. But I mean, the only really serious relationship he had after he split up with my mum, which again, I think that was a period of like fucking 8 years or something stupid, really. Right. I don't know what he was doing in the meantime. I don't really want to fucking know.
Lots of dogging.
Yeah, but
dog walking. Sorry.
But he ended up dating the sister of one of his friends from school, like fucking essentially
years after the fact.
Yeah, which is quite weird. But it turns out she was absolutely fucking nuts. And this, I don't know how much I'll talk about this, but I mean, I do remember, like when this relationship started, I guess she was kind of cheating on her current boyfriend.
With your dad.
Yeah, who apparently was like an abusive plumber.
Plumber, one of those abusive plumbers.
Yes, you know.
Yeah, but you know, who else is going to reckon you from Bowser?
Yeah.
From your abusive plumber.
My dad has quite a pristine beard, but I'd love it if he worked on his tash a little bit more. Or some dungarees.
Yeah, or his personality.
Yeah. But I mean, some things are a lost cause. I can let go of that.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much I'm going to talk about this woman because it's just generally.
Well, you keep saying that. You keep talking about her. You've not actually said anything yet.
All right. Okay. So I mean, what happens was, she was in a relationship. My dad bought this fucking line about how she was in this abusive relationship, and he bought it hook, line, and sinker. But it turns out she was fucking absolutely nuts, as we'd find out later on. But as soon as she gave her an inch in the fucking door, that was it. Completely fucking.
She moved in.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a question of I'd heard about this woman a couple of times, and it was right about the time we were finishing off at A levels, and we were setting up to have like a few parties that week, and there was one that's going to happen like at the end of like a week at my house, and it really was the case. Like the day before, he was like, "Oh, so I'm seeing this bird, and apparently it's a little bit difficult." This bird,
and he's like 100 years old.
And it really was a question. I would wake up the next morning, and I'm like, "All right, okay, so I've got a lot of people coming over. I'll do this, and this." Get in the house, and I just walk down into the living room, and it is caked with an entire lifetime of fucking crap. I mean, she was also a mum as well. Right. Know? She was not only bringing...
So you heard about this woman, and then she appeared...
Almost the next fucking day.
With her son.
With absolutely everything she could possibly fucking own piled into the fucking house.
I remember she had a son who obviously was dragged around with her, and I remember this kid sleeping next to, I don't know, what must be like a 2-foot high amp that was screaming outrage against the machine, and he was sleeping on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was quite used to it because as time went on, it became quite clear that she was bipolar and alcoholic, and there was so many fucking screaming matches. I would say, like, towards the end of my kind of formative years as a teenager, but oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think they should say, you can be an alcoholic, that's fine. You can have bipolar, that's fine as well. You can't do both.
You definitely shouldn't breed.
Well, you definitely shouldn't be drinking when you're on I don't know, whatever. I guess she wasn't on medication, was she?
Oh no, it was on and off. It was like it's one of those things. I swear to God, like my dad used to have to fucking hide it in her food, like she was a fucking dog or something.
Yeah. Well, okay, and. Everyone's got, like, not a story like this, I think, but everyone knows someone who kind of just moves in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of the male nightmare other than getting pregnant, isn't it? It's the thing of, you're brushing your teeth one day and you look down and you notice, oh, there's like a bottle of perfume there and somebody else's toothbrush, and when the fuck did this happen? Now I'm getting bored, now I'm getting fat, now I'm getting married.
Well, that didn't really happen to my dad. He would have the shit kicked out of him, but... Again, I think that's a story for another time. I never really kind of freaked out about this.
So she would hit your dad?
Kind of. They would just have like screaming matches. I do remember there were a few times that my dad would wake me up at like fucking 2 a.m. because for some fucking reason I was so used to all this fucking screaming I could sleep through it, and I'd get like the occasional knock on the door. Damian, wake up at like 3 a.m. I just need to come down and just be a witness for something.
Oh my God.
And there were quite a few fucking... And my dad would, every now and again, would like fucking take off, like the shoulder of his fucking shirt and just show me like the latest scratch marks and shit like that.
Wow. Why didn't you just chuck her out?
I don't know. I had this fucking discussion with him a million fucking times. And, he used to say that he had... It's something that's not really recognised as like a psychological condition, but I reckon it's a fucking thing. It's I call it the Messiah complex, the need to fucking save people.
Is that what he called it? He called it the Messiah complex?
Something quite like, it's very similar to that. And I was like, that actually, it's
the Mason complex.
It's what it actually is. It's like the first fucking thing in any kind of psychology. It's called... It's garden variety codependency, the need to be needed. You're just helping someone that's just fucking lost, all right? And they're clinging to you, and you like it. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
And, he'd kind of rail against all the not-so fucking shit, but I mean, I guess...
And she doesn't live with him anymore.
Oh, God, no. I mean, for whatever fucking reason, she managed to stay out. They broke up a few times, but they would wait like 6 months, and then she would like suddenly slope back into the house.
But she had somewhere to go then when she left.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. Well, that's interesting. Yeah.
She never like officially lived in the house. She had somewhere else to live, but she was just always there.
Always there, like a leech.
God, yeah.
Like a leech beneath the foreskin, and that's why you should get circumcised.
Yeah.
Join Hieronymus Wash and Mamo on the exciting conclusion of 40 Million Leagues Under the Sea. Oh God, he's bleeding out of his iris.
Damn it, Mau Mau. Where am I going to get another Mau Mau?
Meanwhile, at the submarine pen.
Dr. Pliffin, we're just about ready.
Excellent. Once we've got all the papers and other goodies aboard, we'll set off a small earthquake and flood this place.
Should I get the seismic machine ready?
Yes, bring it. Where is it?
It was right there.
Hugo, Boniface, Double Gloucester, where's the seismic machine?
No one's seen it.
It looks like it was dragged off. Look, wet footprints.
What the?
Leading up to that door. It's locked.
That's right. I locked you in.
What the hell? How did you survive the pressure?
You'll really be trapped this time until the authorities come.
I'm sure we can make a deal.
I've already released the security doors. My friends will be here any...
Stop mucking around with that door, Mau Mau, and help us with this seismic machine thing.
Jewel of Neptunia!
Yes, that thing.
Looks like we'll be taking their ride and leaving them down here. Do you think it's safe?
They can't do anything without this, baby.
No, don't!
What's going on?
You set up the machine, you great fool!
Cut, boss.
Damn it, Mau Mau. What did you do? You've killed us with the machine that the bad guys were going to kill us with. You know what that is? Death by irony. I promised my own father on his deathbed that I would not die by irony.
We need to let them on the submarine with us, or they'll drown.
Right. Commander Major, start the sub.
Hey! Oh, but Swash!
Listen in there. Put the gun down and we'll let you through.
All right, the gun is on the floor. Ah, the gun wasn't on the floor. Ah!
Quick, Kitty, the submarine.
Help! I'm trapped. Oh, I should have never fired a gun into a glass dome at the bottom of the sea. Help! Help!
Forget it, Mau Mau. Dr. Pliffin and the other thieving sciencey persons are gone.
Well, that man seems to be.
Just proves that crime doesn't pay.
I think I can just about reach him.
No time for that. Close the submarine hatch.
Help me, help me.
Listen to that. You can almost hear them in the sea.
Full steam ahead! Oh, Swash, I can't believe we made it.
It was a close one. Prepare to surface.
Well, Inspector, it's so good to be back on dry land.
The commander told us everything that happened. You did the world a service today, Hieronymus Swash.
And don't forget Mau Mau. Folded underwear and my morning boiled egg may not sound like much, but every little helps.
Yes, indeed. Well done all.
Oh, Swash, I don't think I can ever live under the sea for 6 months at a time ever again.
And who's this lovely young lady?
Ah, this is one of the perpetrators. The thieves almost certainly had contacts on shore, and she no doubt knows names, locations, things like that.
Oh, I see.
Nothing a beating will get out of her.
Hieronymus, what?
Excellent. Take her away, boys.
No, wait! Swash, I love you!
They never learn, do they, Mau Mau?
They never do, boss. They never do.
Do we have any shrimp in the freezer? I fancy shrimp.
You know, we are at the harbor. We could get them fresh here.
Yes, but then I couldn't eat them in my underwear, listening to the croquet ball.
You should probably stop off and buy some sauce then.
Ah, an excellent idea, Mau Mau.
Thus concludes 40 million leagues under the sea. But Hieronymus Swash will return in Moon Swasher.
Wrong.
Beetroots.
This one's called Your Granny is a Man. Into the future, you and I, mandible in tentacle, to a space and time of 1,000 million colours, where the world is turned upside down and inside out, and the winter's dogs marry the summer's wolves. Your granny is a man. Entertain me, sir. Your mother's mother is more walrus than man. Your father cannot become you. Second mother only on paper or in fantasy. And I say, my rugged coppery complexion beaming beneath a tepid sun, let all be, and call sea cows sea horses. It is of no matter. A walrus will always be a walrus. Your granny is a man. You know that's unheard of. And that's from Svetlana in The Hague. Thank you very much for that, Svetlana. So, before we cut away, we were talking about relationships. Well, your father's relationship specifically with a nut job.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that relationships are generally a little bit more mercenary than people, and certainly TV and media makes out. I mean, you talked about codependency. Is that like not a legitimate thing, not a legitimate reason to be together? It's always like such a bad word.
Yeah, it's cast in a bad light, but I think if people really evaluate the reasons that kind of compel them to be in a relationship, I think that's exactly what they're going to.
It's some form of codependency, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it just goes through different forms. Like some people are just with other people for money or security. I think is probably more acceptable to say. Yeah. No one ever kind of seems to want to stay with someone who is going mad. Like, you know, you get these people who make these stupid little vows in front of a short little man I imagine that short little man in a black dress about, you know, being together forever, you know, and for better and worse. But if like one of those people starts to actually go mad and like paint the walls with shit, you can bet they're going to be left pretty quickly.
Well, you would think so. I mean, that was definitely my argument with my dad. But you know, I guess he'd had quite a hard run of luck, which is why I guess he was compelled to stay with something like that. But
I thought that was that was not intentional, but kind of, you know, I thought he was cool with that. Like, he could have got a girlfriend before he did.
No, not at all. My dad was kind of a broken man because at this point we kind of moved up north and we've moved out of London after his career had kind of crumbled essentially, yeah. And he was quite a dejected man for quite a long time. His self-esteem, whether he admits it or not, was crippled, and I think that has a huge factor in why he stomached that kind of behavior from someone like that. Because no one in their right mind would tolerate that.
Uh-huh.
I mean, the entire world around him was saying, "What the fuck were you doing?" But he invented this fucking thing to kind of mask it, I guess, that he said was the Messiah complex, the need to fucking save someone that was completely fucking broken.
So he said that he knew there was something wrong with him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
But he never said wrong. He said he would like talk about it like it's an admirable trait,
Right.
as opposed to a condition.
Yeah. I suppose like it's an admirable trait, leaving food out for the rat.
Mm.
Wow.
Oy.
You paint quite a picture.
He's a very interesting man.
There's still more.
And don't get
isn't
me
there?
wrong. I mean, he's my dad. I love him, but I mean, I have to question so much. And
But
as I get older, I question more and more.
what about you? You've been in some relationships where you've hated the other person.
Oh God, yeah. I've had one in particular where I stomached someone cheating on me for essentially half the relationship, really.
Yeah.
Granted, it wasn't something that went on. It was a one-time fucking thing, but it's one of those things we've kind of swept under the carpet. And again, that's just down to being I didn't realize at the time, but it being a fucking desperate human being.
Yeah.
I had no career at the time, no kind of plan. Yeah, well, but I've got
Now you've
accustomed-
accepted death.
Yeah, no, I'm accustomed to it. The sting I feel every day it feels like home. So I don't really give a shit now. And in that I find a little bit more kind of self-confidence. At the time it was new, it wasn't shortly after I'd moved away and had a very rough time.
I kind of
renting a
was
flat.
talking more about the girlfriend you had for like 3 years, whose family tried to
Oh
fatten you up.
fuck! Yes, yeah. Jesus Christ, that was nuts. Yeah, but this was.
Because you couldn't tell this now, but Damian was 14 stone.
Yes, yeah, no, like good, like
No,
5.
I don't know how much stone is. How much do you weigh?
Like 10 and a half stone, something like that. I
Yeah,
don't
so
know how
Damian
much.
was like a good 18 stone.
It's like doubled. The difference is doubled now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had like a 60-inch fucking waist. I couldn't see my I couldn't see my
tiny
fucking.
dick. You did have a little motorbike you would ride around everywhere though, and a cowboy hat.
Oh god, yeah. And like my brother, who we don't really speak of anymore, he was in a similar state of distress, and we go around as a pair.
He was also called Damian, but his name was spelt correctly. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Do you think we're friends because our first names are spelt incorrectly?
yeah. That's exactly because there's no
the
common
only-
ground other
yeah.
than that. No, not at all.
Yeah. Yeah. So your first girlfriend who you were with for ages, and you you hated her.
Yeah, it was very kind of, it's functional. I mean, at the time, it was when this relationship with my dad, his abusive relationship was rolling, and that lasted. I didn't kind of clarify. That lasted for years. Like I think it was like 2 or 3 years, something like that. And it was being at home was a horrible, horrible fucking thing because it was nothing but fucking
So this
fucking
girl,
gin bottles flying, and it was. I mean, I tolerated being with someone that I never liked, never could love. Almost from the get go. Really,
and she loved you.
No,
she
not
didn't
at
love
all.
you,
No,
yeah.
not at all.
But why was she with you then? You were with her because you wanted somewhere to go.
Yeah,
You
basically.
wanted some comfort, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think this girl had like some very kind of Disney ideas about relationships and
you were
kind of,
this wholesome, lovely young woman. And you
no,
took
no.
Her heart and you stamped it beneath your stiletto heels.
Yes, that's exactly it. Because that's the type of bloke I am.
because you were a transvestite at the time. So why was she with you? I can never work that out.
No, neither can I in hindsight. I think.
But seriously, why was she with you?
I have absolutely no idea. I mean, she did like have ideas about like fucking getting married and having a kid and shit like that.
And she would
Not necessarily with me, but I mean, she kind of wanted that shit before she was like 25.
right,
Before she was like fucking 20, really.
right.
Yeah, and she was just, I don't know, I guess that was just kind of a life plan for her a little bit. I mean, she'd never really thought about a career or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I met her at college, and she was just jumping from one course to the next, and it was just whatever kind of felt good at the time. So,
yeah, all my relationships have been based around food.
oh yeah, good. I mean, that's more solid than anything.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say more solid. I'd say it's more
You
more
make the
innocent,
food and
more-
I'll eat it, baby.
more innocent than relationships I've known.
Yeah, because there was my mum, and then there was school, and now I need a wife to feed me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I do think that most relationships are kind of based on some give and take.
Mm-hmm.
It's not you don't just fall in love with someone. There's always something on offer. Like you never have someone who's like a high-powered, successful lawyer on her way to the office. She falls in love with a hobo.
Mm-hmm.
She gets talking to the local fucking garbage man. It's always like people always seem to fall in love with people
Of a
in
similar status bracket,
in
yeah.
the same status bracket, in the same class. It's not someone who's kind of decided, oh, I'm going to live as a communist now or something like that. It's always someone who's quite not comfortable, but quite, is able to help you in some way.
Yeah, but people will say, will kind of rationalize that. It's about having things in common with someone.
It's about having things in common with people, and it's about who you're exposed to. But
I would say a lot of that is down to like bolstering what you think are your strengths and kind of
right. And it's like these film stars who marry other film stars. There are so few film stars out there. It's like European royalty, right? Like you don't have that much of a choice.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an A-lister and you think, well, actually, I want to marry another A-lister because then we can be a power couple, you don't have that much maneuver really. You've got your selection of only a few eligible men or women, right? It's not like if you just go to a nightclub, you can kind of talk to anyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But obviously, that's not for every film star. You do get film stars who marry normal people.
Unheard of.
Well, no, the reason it's unheard of is because it's not reported, right?
It's not as interesting.
Yeah, like Samuel L. Jackson, he's been with his wife for like 30 years. There's no story there, is there?
No. Entirely faithful as well.
Yeah, I have no idea who his wife is, right? But let's just say, yeah, he's been married to his wife. She's a choreographer. She does stage stuff. Yeah, it's not interesting. We want the fucking the bling bling, right? Mm-hmm. We want people cheating on each other, and we want Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Why is he with her? She's like twice his age. Never mind. Let's not talk about that.
Was it Kanye West as well?
Kenny West.
Kenny West.
Kenny West.
Was it?
I used to love rap when it was all about Eminem,
Yeah.
Eminem. Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't really
and
want
Dr. Drew. Dr. Drew.
It's Dre.
Dr. Drew is one of my favourite rapsters.
Especially when he'd solved those mysteries. What about?
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, is it cynical what we're saying about relationships?
Yeah,
That
but
they're
I think
bullshit.
it's not that they're bullshit. I mean, a lot of people are very skeptical of this kind of stuff. Just watch any kind of female-centric sitcom.
Female, is that like a new gender?
Female, yes.
Yeah,
That's with my sexy lisp.
yeah.
And
It's somewhere in between, like definitely not a man and kind of a man.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. I mean,
there are like 100 other genders in there as well.
it's a chode, no balls, and a vag. That's what it is. It's kind of a hermaphrodite,
Just
but it's not
describe
as
someone with a
pronounced.
large clitoris. I used to know someone who told me that his third wife had a clitoris that was the size of a small boy's penis.
Oh, yeah. Like my old guitar teacher told me that he
I thought you were going to say my old guitar teacher
had a massive fucking clit.
massive clitoris that he could strum like nothing else with.
Yeah, and this gorgeous ginger goatee. Now he told me he slept with someone that had like clit almost as big as his fucking thumb or something stupid like that.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, thank you very much for watching The Boisterous Brothers. You can download all of these podcasts from SoundCloud. There's a link below if you're not already on SoundCloud. And you can watch all of these podcasts because we film them and loads of other stuff on YouTube. There's a link below to YouTube if you're not on YouTube. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Goodbye. I must go throw up now.
Why? Because you talked about clitoris.
Oh, yeah. Females. Oh,
Ooh.
man. Bring on the chodes.